Thank you everyone for joining us today. We are going to be discovering new DRaaS features and telling how to attract new customers. So today we have presenting our VP of Marketing, Dean Nichols, as well as our Director of Channel Enablement, Derek Wood. You do have access to a copy of these slides. They're in the handouts of GoToWebinar, so please do grab a copy of those today. Also, if you have questions throughout the presentation, there's a question tool there, and we will come to the Q&A at the end of the presentation. And then finally, if there are any additional questions or comments after the presentation, please do feel free to email us at team@infrascale.com. We're going to take a look at the agenda now. First, we're going to talk about orchestration. Second, we'll talk about some of the other great cool features that we have to share with you. Then we're going to discuss our new partner program, and finally ending with the Q&A. So I'll pass it over to Derek and to Dean. Take it away, guys.
Thank you, Carla. This is Dean, everyone who doesn't recognize my voice. I'm thrilled that you guys have joined us this morning or this afternoon, no matter where you're coming in from. We want to actually start by getting kind of a better pulse of the kind of partner you are. So maybe you could quickly fill out this poll and let us know, are you currently reselling our cloud backup solution or disaster recovery, or both? Hopefully you're selling one of those, and if you're not, or you're a competitor, now's the right time to leave the presentation. We'll give this a second.
And looks like 66% of you have voted so far. We'll give everyone just one more moment here to vote, and then we'll close that down.
Come on, weigh in. Cool. And do we have the results? Here's our results. Okay. So the majority of you are selling both of our solutions. That's great. 33% are just selling the cloud backup, and 6% are just selling our disaster recovery. If you're not sure, well, you may. Hopefully, you're at the right webinar. So let's go on. So I'm going to talk a little bit briefly about who we are, what we do. Obviously, you're reselling our solution, so I'm going to keep this brief. The reason I have stuck this commercial in at the very beginning is partially so you understand how we position ourselves to the outside world. And you can leverage, rip off any of this copy you want in your own presentations. But this is typically how we present ourselves if we're talking to investors or we're talking to press. Right? Now, this is also important. If you're only selling one of our solutions, like the cloud backup, or only selling a disaster recovery, it's important for you to understand how all the pieces fit together. So why Infrascale? Well, we believe that every modern business has a right to protect its operational uptime no matter where and when, right? So we're all about really three primary use cases, and this has changed a little bit over the last few years. First of all, as a partner, we want to help you protect mixed environments. So that's both virtual, that's physical. That's across all kinds of different operating systems as well. We also want to make sure that we're helping protect data with our cloud backup solutions and our disaster recovery solutions. And then more recently, increasingly, it's about how can we protect your clients against ransomware and quickly recover. So by way of review, we have two core solutions, our cloud backup solution and disaster recovery solutions. And we've changed the names over the last few years, so this is our current, most straightforward naming convention we have. The cloud backup solution, which is pretty obvious, we backed up your data, your client's data, directly to the cloud. There's no hardware, there's no on-premise component to that at all. It's really being optimized for endpoints and branch offices. The disaster recovery solution, or disaster recovery as a service offering that we have, is really intended to back up the entire network of systems. Now, in this case, there is an on-premise component, an appliance stored at your client site, but it really is meant to protect all the data, both physical and virtual, and also optimized for mission-critical applications as well and servers. Great. So when we think about data, we think about data typically in this pyramid view. It starts with endpoints, branch offices, your HQ core data centers, and then your mission-critical apps. So mission-critical would be your email, your Exchange, your ERP solutions, your SQL database, etc. And so in most cases, for most companies, and you guys know this as partners, usually the mission-critical stuff, the servers, is what's protected. Unfortunately, the branch offices and the endpoints is the stuff that's usually left exposed. And that's why we have both solutions. So we offer disaster recovery to protect the mission critical stuff, and we offer cloud backup to protect your endpoints and branch offices. So together, it's a pretty complete solution. And the reason that's important increasingly is because ransomware is hitting the endpoints, you need to ideally have solutions in place to protect those endpoints as well. So part of our mantra as a company is we want to protect all devices, whether it be mobile devices, desktops, and laptops, both physical and virtual servers. We want to do that across all operating systems. And so that obviously includes Windows, Apple, Linux, Unix, etc., and as well as the mobile applications as well. And then as part of that flexibility, we want to make sure that you can offer your customers the flexibility to replicate their data to any cloud, whether that be our own cloud, and we now have 16 international data centers, a private cloud, or even popular third-party clouds like AWS or Google Cloud. Or if you want to do pure like site-to-site replication without any cloud, we can also support you there as well with our appliance. So with that, we're going to kind of turn the baton over to Derek, who will talk about some of the features of our latest release for disaster recovery, Release 6.10.
Thanks. So today we're talking about, again, Infrascale Disaster Recovery 6.10, and there was a lot released, but we've boiled it down to these top 6 items, and for full release notes, you can see those in the dashboard, in the release notes section, or near the downloads page. So with these 6 main items, we have DRaaS orchestration, Linux physical DR, and the Google Cloud Platform support for IDR. And then for ICB and IDR, we have ConnectWise integration, anomaly detection, and a new bare metal backup option. To get started, we're going to go right into drag and drop orchestration. This allows administrators to save time and improve recovery speed while also reducing human error by predefining the order and time in which machines are booted into the cloud. So what does that mean? Well, for the most part, a typical environment is going to be an array of different applications and servers that have interdependencies on each other so that the end users can use those applications and databases to do work. But it's not as simple as boot them all because of these dependencies. And this means that in a full site recovery, administrators would need to document all the dependencies in order to alleviate the risk of human error, but that doesn't always happen. A lot of times it's also just hoped that the technician that's available at the time of recovery can deduce these dependencies, but it often falls into little missteps that can cause time, and time is money. So recovering a full site looks something a bit like this. You have your firewall and your switch, and then you first get your domain controller, which is your DNS and your Active Directory services. Once that's set up, then you can go to your next tier of critical servers and applications. So your app server, your mail server, and your database. Once these are up, you may have some additional steps. So maybe you have to run some, do some run books, run some scripts, little configurations here and there. And then you can plug in your tertiary level services like your web server and your file server. And then once that's all back up and running, then you're ready to start plugging in your users. In our system, the way it looks is that we have this orchestration tab where you have different groups where you can drag and drop straight from the interface. So you're essentially documenting your recovery plan in the tool you're going to use for recovery. That means it's going to be faster and more reliable because you're not going to be banking on tribal knowledge of the dependencies in that particular network. And it also means that your test recoveries are going to be much smoother. Now, one of the things that we're doing with this release is we're really jumping far beyond a level of transparency that you would find with most services. So most of you have heard us say 15-minute failover guarantee, right? And a lot of times, for those of you who haven't actually used it, maybe you think, well, I'm sure there's some gotchas here and there. This histogram is now live and available for you to view at infrascale.com/cloudboot-histogram. And the histogram shows the success and time each cloud boot happens across all of our customers. So the first thing you'll notice is that the y-axis is the time that it takes for a cloud boot to operate, and it stops at 2 minutes. So we're well below that SLA that we've promised, and that's terrific. And then the x-axis, you have the dates. So the way you read this and the way you would be able to read it in the web is you can mouse over these green circles, and it would tell you how many machines were booted, so a bigger circle means more machines, and then you could see the average boot time. So for this big circle, the average boot time is about 1 minute. So this is an exciting addition to the transparency of the services, and again, just shows the commitment to doing what we say we're going to do, which is not always what you find with backup and DR providers. A lot of little asterisks here and there. The other major impact of boot orchestration, along with DRaaS, is your managed services behind the disaster recovery service itself. I like to think of managed services first by getting a picture of the whole cycle of ownership of a particular service. Now, we'll have a different webinar where we'll dive into each phase here to help you develop your managed services. But for the most part, what we're talking about today is testing and evaluation. Currently, testing and evaluation are not paid enough attention, and that's not because it's not important, but usually just because the time needed isn't there. And doing a test recovery of a full site may take all of your cycles as it is, and you're just trying to break even on that type of a test. The change in speed that boot orchestration gives you really changes the whole dynamic of this part of the ownership of service, both as a provider and as a customer. So what do we mean? Well, customers buy things based off of a cost-benefit analysis, right? So backup testing, the benefit you and I know is, as the provider, is very important. But for an end user, if they're paying for the backup already, they just kind of expect that it's going to work. So backup testing for them, if it's very expensive, is kind of a hard pill to swallow. It's also very hard for you to make any margin on it. And that's why this becomes something of a dreaded task that may be done less often than you'd like, maybe once a year, if that. I wonder if, how many of you have customers where you haven't tested, or where they don't test the backups at all. But then when you have DRaaS test recovery with boot orchestration specifically, your costs come way, way down. And that means two things. One, you can do it more frequently, and that's terrific, better for audits and all this. The other thing is that you can start adding real value to that testing and evaluation lifecycle that you have with the customer that you previously didn't have the time to do. So it used to take an entire day or weekend just for the task itself. You can now finish in 20 or 30 minutes, and then you spend another hour writing up a report. And it also gives you the benefit of doing more specific test cases. We're running a test based on the environment where we get hit with ransomware. All the end users are encrypted. The file server and the database server have been encrypted, and so have the local backups. These are our results. RTO goal, met, not met, total cost of downtime, X dollars, etc. What this also means for you, now that the customers see this as more beneficial, is that all of a sudden you're going to see what used to be a near zero ROI service now become something of one of your leading ROI services. And this is terrific because now your marketing team or your sales team, your people on the ground, have something that's exciting to talk about. What used to be something is just a CYA task, if you all know what I mean. Now it's something that it's differentiating your services from the people next door using some old traditional backup system. Next up, we have ConnectWise. So ConnectWise is something that we've been adding to over time, and the latest addition to ConnectWise is billing integration. First, what is ConnectWise? ConnectWise is a professional services automation tool, and it's used for automation of billing, ticketing, and invoicing. So what you can do with our system in ConnectWise now is you plug our system into ConnectWise so that you can better route tickets to the appropriate people in your support staff, and you can also have a bit of an integration for your billing process. So this is to save you time and give you a better window in which you can evaluate your return on investment in these services and management of those services. The next big item is the addition of DRaaS support for physical Linux machines. Now, we have been able to support Linux backup and DR, but for physical machines, it was rather limited. There was no local boot, there was no cloud boot. Now, it's full feature rich. So all of the recovery tools that we're talking about today and you know and love, you now have that for your physical Linux machines. This is huge for those of you that have found going full virtual, you still needed to keep a physical Linux box on site, or for those of you who just still run a lot of physical machines, now you have a terrific solution for that. And just to show what it would look like, this is just a Linux UI, but you can see at the top here, this is our VNC access. So those of you who haven't seen our Cloud Boot orchestration demo, this is what it looks like straight from your web browser. And then I'll pass it back to Dean to talk about Google Cloud.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. And so just a reminder again, this whole deck is in the sidebar there, so if you want to download that, let us know. The other thing we want to get into, one thing that we probably should have talked about at the very top of the webinar is this kind of dialogue. Well, it's not really a dialogue, it's more of a soliloquy at this point, but we want to have these kinds of events with our partners a lot more often than we have in the past. So you can look forward to a lot more of these kind of updates from us, maybe not necessarily from Derek myself, but ideally we're going to start doing these once a month to get in a regular habit of communicating new features and benefits with you guys. So anyway, the next thing that we have on screen is the Google Cloud integration. So what is that? So all we're talking about here is the ability now to replicate data, whether we're talking from for Google, from our cloud backup solution or our disaster recovery solution to the Google Cloud. So we've always offered the any cloud option, and now we're extending that cloud choice to Google as well. So why are we doing this? First of all, it's giving you additional cloud choice, even though Google is not obviously the #1 cloud player at this point. They're quickly moving up, and they're investing a lot of time and money and resources to become a major player in the cloud space. One of the things we've done with them is we've fully integrated our solutions into their cloud. So it's not that we're just pointing our data there. We're actually working with their development teams. So in fact, the failover is actually even faster than what we offer normally. And so it is lightning fast. And if you're looking to expand your global reach or you're looking to expand your own Google footprint, you can do that with this solution. So these are the 3 primary benefits for you as a partner. So again, if you're already a Google partner, but you can leverage our solution to store more data, more of your clients' data on their cloud, and then move yourself up the rankings with Google, and perhaps leverage more of their MDF funds as well. And the other benefit of partnering with Google is their global reach, and I'll show you a little bit of their data centers and their coverage. One of the reasons we partnered with them as well is it allows us to expand beyond our current international footprint to cover a lot more of the world. And then lastly, if you're looking to expand your cloud services, you can confidently doing that knowing you can trust the name and brand of Google. So where some of your clients may not have heard or perhaps don't trust the Infrascale cloud, maybe there's a stronger likelihood that they'll trust the Google Cloud as well. Okay, next slide. So what are some of the benefits of our Google Cloud integration? Well, there's primarily 3. So one is the speed. I talked about the speed of boot times. So when we talk about spinning up VMs within their cloud, we're seeing an average of 40 to 50 seconds. So this is actually even less than some of the data that Derek showed on that histogram, which was about a minute or 2 minutes on average. We're booting up VMs here within 40 seconds within Google. They have local SSD, low latency, etc. And part of that has to do with the number of data centers that they have globally. They're highly scalable, and the way they designed their cloud is they're taking advantage of not only nested virtualization, they're taking advantage of virtual private networks to really have the ability to scale up large workloads quickly within their cloud. And again, per the global coverage, they have 75 points of presence, and they support a broad range of operating systems, from CentOS to Windows, etc., and Red Hat. This is some architecture slides for you. So here's how we integrate with the Google Cloud. So we have our 2 core solutions. So if you're dealing with our cloud backup solution on the left, we place agents on all the devices we want to capture, and whether they be Windows, Mac, iOS, etc. And then we do the source side duplication, and we then replicate to the Google Cloud directly. With our disaster recovery solution, part of it is agent-based, for the physical stuff, the Windows, the Linux, Unix, etc. And then for the virtualized workloads, we capture that via VMware APIs or Hyper-V, hypervisors. That gets captured at the appliance level and then again replicated to the cloud. And so when it comes time to spin up VMs, you can do that either on the appliance itself or directly from the cloud. Okay, so we talked about the expanded footprint. Let me explain the color coding on this slide. The data centers that are Google are the ones that are in green. These are the current data centers that they have in place. They've also are looking to expand as well, and so the ones in blue are those countries where they're looking to expand into, which includes Mumbai, Tokyo, and Singapore as well. The ones that are in red are the data centers that Infrascale currently has. So you see there's a fair amount of overlap, but what Google allows us to do is to enter certain markets that we aren't currently in. And when we talk about the importance of having data located near where your data centers are or where your customers are, this becomes increasingly important. So for those partners out there that deal with much larger clients that have a global footprint and they want to make sure that their European data stays within European data centers, we can do that, either with not only with our own cloud, but we can certainly do that with Google as well now. Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to Derek to talk a little bit about our ransomware protection.
Okay, so anomaly detection. Many of you may have heard this already, but the way that anomaly detection works is that we're already tracking and giving you reports on number of changed files per backup run, number of new files, number of deleted files, this sort of data. And this is helpful because it shows trends of data creation, which per machine stay pretty constant. Now, what anomaly detection does is we do some math behind the scenes to say, you know, this is completely out of the ordinary for this particular device, and then we give you a warning. The reason this warning is important is because there are really two main use cases where you would have a sudden jump in data usage when it comes to your backups. One would be malware, like ransomware, that is going through a machine and changing a bunch of files or adding files that the user's not aware of. The other would be somebody's backing up a bunch of stuff that doesn't need to be backed up, whether it's somebody plugging in a personal hard drive and all of a sudden all their family photos get protected. That's valuable space that you're paying for, and maybe you want to get rid of it. Or it just shows that this machine's behavior has changed, leave it be, and we just have to account for this new speed of growth. So what it looks like when you're setting up anomaly detection is that we give you an option to say, okay, I want to get an alert within this threshold of behavior. And you can make that as big or as small. So if you have, a 10% variance or a 50% variance in a typical backup, when you get an alert, in the email, you'll see the statistics as far as how far over the threshold you were, the total count in files that were modified or changed, and you'll also see the kind of the excerpt of the logs where you could see the file names and extensions. So if it's ransomware, you would see that for most variants because the file names would be modified to something quite strange. If it wasn't ransomware, then maybe the file names stay the same, but that's variant to variant. But either way, you get an alert that says something on this machine is kind of strange. Let's say you get a ransomware variant that is newer and they encrypt very quickly. This would give you a really nice starting point to say, this is the day at which we saw all of a sudden a ton of files get modified. The ransomware virus probably got access to this machine on or close to this day. So it helps you really find a starting point to investigating when ransomware hit your system. And for those of you who have gone through this, that's usually one of the first things you need to figure out besides which variant it is. And that's not exactly easy if you don't have the right services in place. So we found this was a great option for us, even as a backup provider and not having to do with antivirus or anti-malware, to give our partners and customers a tool to help them against what has become one of the biggest threats in the industry. Okay, here we are at bare metal backup. A lot of you are probably thinking, why are you talking to me about bare metal backup? You've offered bare metal backup for years. This doesn't make any sense. And that's true. The importance of this release isn't the functionality of being able to run bare metal backups. The importance is that this is a bare metal backup tool that is completely owned by Infrascale. Many of you are aware that we've offered StorageCraft as our bare metal backup tool, and it does a great job. But like the rest of our company, we really focus on being a technology company first, a cloud software development firm. And that's what allows us to have the flexibility and the speed of cloud backup and cloud recovery. So being able to cloud boot is not something you can do with out-of-the-box AWS or Azure cloud compute options. In fact, we tried it and they were too limited. It wouldn't work as quickly as we wanted. So we have a completely proprietary backend. Bare metal backup, this signifies the first step in what's going to be a very exciting year for us when it comes to having a DR solution in the cloud that doesn't require an appliance. So what does that mean for those of you who are currently using Shadow Protect? Shadow Protect, still very much a viable option. It's still a great product. You can continue using it. It's not going to save or cost you any money at this point. If you are using this for Linux machines, you're going to have to stay on StorageCraft because we don't yet support that ourselves. We're currently limited to Windows 2008 and Windows 2012 R2. But if you want to use it, that's fine. For all new customers you set up, the Infrascale bare metal backup option will be the default option. But you're happy to use both. Some of the advantages is here. So you'll see that you have one interface to configure all your backup types. That's terrific. Before, you would have to bounce between Shadow Protect and our Online Backup and Recovery Manager. Now you can do it in one. And in fact, you could do it all from the dashboard. So you don't even need to open up the local UI if you don't want to. And the same goes for recovery. Here you can create your bootable ISOs, and then when you're ready for a recovery, you plug the ISO in, point to the image that you've recovered, and you're good to go. Nice little table that will be available on our web later. What are the things that we do that they don't, and they do that we don't? And real short, they support Linux. We don't yet, and this is just for bare metal. This is not for our Infrascale appliance. Our bare metal has now a full integration with the dashboard. The latest version of StorageCraft does not. So they changed things with version 5 and above that no longer works with remote configuration. So for those of you who've been around for a couple of years, the version 3.5 and 4 of Shadow Protect still works from the dashboard. And then the future roadmap is going to have nothing to do with StorageCraft. So from here on out, all the developments that you're going to be hearing about this awesome appliance, I guess we would say, DRaaS 0, is going to have to do with our technology, not with theirs. We still don't have a price published for this, so stay tuned for that. And if you're interested, contact your reps and they'll be able to fill you in. Okay, so some of the other things that we've done, and we've done so much more than this as well. Again, full release notes are available in the dashboard in the release notes section. But one of the things that many of you who have been managing a lot of physical or virtual appliances, you'll find that the used space meter is going to fit your needs a lot better. It's now going to include free blocks from the DDFS system that it didn't include before. So this will be more clear for you and allow you to manage your appliances better. Slow VMware backups. So we sped this up. We had some great feedback from you all, and we thank all of you who worked with us and let us see the environments that were getting a little slow, because they're now much faster. We saw some issues with automatic deletion of archives when no one wanted that to happen, so that's not good. But this has been resolved and no longer a problem. And another nice time saver is automated firmware updates. So when you update your primary appliance, you don't have to go to the secondary appliance and push the big red button again. It'll automatically do that for you. Terrific stuff.
Great. So there's I think a lot of goodness in this latest release of 6.10. One of the things I want to share with you is how we're stacking up. So if you question whether you partner with the right vendor, this chart is really aimed to help allay any of those fears. And so this chart was developed by a company called Demand by Design, and they did a whole website called DRaaS-comparison.org. You can see the URL on the left. And they did a complete analysis of what DRaaS is, why it's growing so fast as a category, and who the leading vendors are. And they essentially used these Harvey balls to kind of compare and contrast the key vendors on key areas of functionality. This site, by the way, is a great site for you guys to leverage. So if you're trying to convince a client to adopt DRaaS and why you might want to adopt DRaaS, this is a great site to send them to help understand what are the key components of a good DRaaS solution, why should you care, and who are the players and why would you want to go with Infrascale. And so it looks at everything from the pricing to whether they protect virtual and physical environments to orchestration, which we talked about a little bit about earlier, the ease of testing, the speed of recovery, et cetera, cloud choice. And so we've performed quite well. So in addition to being a visionary with Gartner and a cool vendor, we can now say that, at least according to this stack ranking, we're the best in the DRaaS space. So with that,
nice to see.
We're going to make a hard left. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about the features of 6.10, and one of the things that we also launched at the end of last year was our new partner program. We want to do a quick rehash of some of the key benefits, because there's a good chunk of partners that are starting to leverage some of these benefits, but only a small percentage. So if you're a partner of ours and not tapping into some of these benefits, Derek's going to tell you why you should.
Right, and just a quick comment. I see a bunch of questions coming down, and we're not ignoring you. We will get to your questions at the end, so keep them coming. There are some good questions. Okay, so to go through the partner program, and this is for those of you who were at our launch back in October. We'll also have some good updates for you as far as how it's been going. In short, what we did is we took a big evaluation of our current partner program, and we spent a lot of time talking with all of you to get feedback on what you wanted to see different. These pillars, some of them we doubled down in, so sell the next big thing. We've always been on the leading edge of technology, the first to bring online backup from small enterprise to small business, and now to bring DRaaS from small enterprise to small business, and you saw that with boot orchestration and everything else. Real leads and real co-marketing. This is an area where we simply had a big gap, and this is where we've been focusing a lot in the last 6 to 8 months. And then unprecedented protection, we wanted to make kind of ubiquitous support for operating systems a major part of our platform, and that's why you've seen that throughout the presentations as well. So not only are we working on the partner program, but we're doing that because DRaaS is simply the fastest growing segment in enterprise IT right now. So it's expected to continue to grow. We've been having a great time growing with you all, and we hope to see that continue. And you guys should also be seeing some terrific margin impacts. You know, when you're talking about comparable services that your customers simply couldn't afford, and now all of a sudden you're seeing margins from the same level of service, that's a whole new revenue stream for you. The boot orchestration, same type of thing, something you didn't used to be able to sell, or not very well, or at a high margin, is now something that you can lead with as a major differentiator. So it's something that we're focusing on. And when you come into the program, we want to make sure that you're armed and ready with everything. So we have deal registration pages so that you can let us know that you're working with somebody. And that way we can make sure there's no overlap in marketing, and so that we can reach out with our sales and technical teams to help you through the sale. You know, do you need a demo? Do you need help putting together a proposal? Do you need help with implementation? Not a problem, whether it's your first or your 100th. We have the knowledge base, community forums coming soon, partner resource center with ebooks, all of which are co-brandable. All you have to do is ask. Partner sheets, use cases, all the stuff that you would need to put together a good proposal and a good campaign to generate more business. And we also have this customer and partner referral program. You know, so on top of the deal registration, you can go here to this URL, and this is available in the Partner Resource Center or from our main page. Again, you get a little cash, plus you get deal protection and deal assistance. One of the other things we realized is going into the appliance realm of things, we really need to step up our game in the not-for-resale program. So not-for-resale, we wanted to give our partners the ability not only to be protected with our system, because we feel it's one of the best in the market, but also so that you have a system that you can use and become very familiar with. This makes your service delivery to your customers that much better, because it's a service that you use on a daily basis, and it also gives you a nice demo environment. The partner onboarding was something we also took a big look at, and it's not just you signed the deal with us, okay, here's your cloud storage, go make us money. It continues, and we consider this not so linear, but really as a continued cycle. So we're going to have continued technical training programs. So with each major release, we'll update our trainings. Sales trainings is something that we let down a little bit, and we've started doing much more recently. And so we're going to start seeing these published schedules where you can say, okay, this is how we do better managed services. Here's a marketing 101 course, things like this. Marketing program kickoffs. This has been a big part of what we've been working on over the last 6 to 8 months, and some of you here today have actually participated. So any shout outs would be appreciated. Nice to see you all here. But we'll actually help from everything from consultation. So if you just want to talk about the ideas you have for a campaign, or if you want us to assist you in the execution of that, that's something we're going to do, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then, of course, like we said, deployed assistance in deployment to make sure that that goes smoothly and everything's covered. And, of course, your ability to get in contact with somebody when you need to, your partner success manager. Next slide. Okay, so from kickoff to first deployment, those of you who are just selling the cloud backup, when you come on board and you start getting your first customer, or even before, or especially beforehand, we will set up and run technical product trainings so that not only are you set up to run a demo and speak intelligently to what it can and cannot do, but we'll continue to do that with every major release. And these trainings range from overviews to specific feature set deep dives. So all you have to do is check out the schedule. If you don't see what you're looking for, just ask and we'll put it together. The same thing goes for sales training, from basic product overviews to specific use cases as far as this is why we're such a good solution when it comes to ransomware versus traditional backup programs. And the marketing programs will actually help put together webinars, email campaigns, press releases, blogs, whatever you need. We're open to hearing about it, and we're going to do everything we can to help you. The Partner Resource Center is something that you find in the dashboard under the Help menu. When you access this to the dashboard, you'll find not only the things that are available on our public site, but you'll see a whole new section called Sales Tools, which has things that are in open formats that you can co-brand and rebrand yourself. You'll find our logos, you'll find templates for business continuity plans and proposals, a lot of helpful tools. And one of the ways that we're looking to improve this communication out to you all, because one of the major feedback items we got was, we have no idea what you have to help us, is the Infrascale Partner Central. This is a brand new mobile application that is not yet been sent out to you all, but after the webinar, you'll all be getting an email to join up Partner Central. The idea behind this was, let's create a way to provide the resources without you having to navigate manually to see if there's been an update or not. And all from your phone. So you get a push notification when we have a new webinar published. If we have a new blog post, you'll see it on your phone and it'll come up. And for those of you who are always wondering, where do I find this, where do I find that, this is going to dramatically make that part of your lives simple. Market development funds, another part of the program that we've recently added. So this is a bit of an old school channel program where the vendor that you're partnered with has money to give you to help you make more money. And we've launched this program. Currently, we're running about 2 or 3 of these programs a week, and this really is working with me. So I hope you enjoy listening to me, because it'll just be more of that. But what it does is it gives you the ability to really kind of be creative in what you want to do from a marketing perspective. So whether it's a seminar, a lunch and learn, and we meet up at a burger lounge or restaurant or a steakhouse, or we're doing webinars or a combination, we're open to hearing what you want to do and how you think that's going to help close some business, and then we're going to do everything we can to help you in that, even financially. One of the main examples we have of that is running webinars. So webinars, take a lot of work. If you haven't run them before, there are usually a couple of tools in place, but to really have a holistic campaign behind the webinar to guarantee you're going to get that return, you have to generate content. There's consultation options as far as what do we do as a subject line of the emails to get better open rates, all this sort of thing. And I'm going to run all that with you based on our experience running webinars, many webinars, and doesn't cost you a thing. In fact, we don't even filter your ability to participate in this program by the amount of business you brought into us. We felt that it was one of those programs where we want to help everyone grow, and we understand that those of you who are just starting out, it doesn't make sense to filter you out just because you're a brand new company. And those of you who are looking to expand, same thing. As far as lead gen and list development for this, a lot of you say, well, I would love to do a webinar, I just don't have the list or the money to buy a list. We have a relationship that we leverage that makes it quite affordable. $25 per registration, that means $25 per lead of someone who's interested in the content we're talking about. It doesn't get much better than that, unless you're just talking about organic leads, but we're not. The only other cost that comes into play are prizes and giveaways, and this is to compete with other webinars of similar content. It's not to really pique interest. Generally, from end to end, when we have a webinar, it's about $1,500, and by default, with not any real approval process except for working with me, we'll cover half. If you need more, we'll go through the MDF process and see what we can do for you. And then to finish up, our customer referral program, we love customers and we love you for referring them to us, and we're going to show you that love with a chunk of change. So you send us some additional partners or some that are interested in reselling the service, we'll send you a $500 gift card. And with that, we'll have our next poll. Would you like to learn more about our co-marketing? All right, and while that's answered, I'll hand it back to Dean and Carla, and we'll set up for a QA.
Great. Thanks, Derek, and thank you, Dean. I'll leave this last poll up for just a few moments here. We have about 60% of you have voted so far. And I'll leave this up as we dive into the Q&A. So we do have our senior sales engineer, Seth, on the line here. Seth, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Great. Thanks. So any technical questions that you guys may have, please do feel free to use the question tool for that. And then any questions that you have on the partner marketing that you heard from Derek or from Dean, please just use that question tool. First question coming through looks like it is for Seth. And the question asks, can you review the orchestration functionality?
Sure, absolutely, yeah. So if you're familiar with VMware's boot up process, it's very similar in nature. However, we give you a little bit more control. So we do allow for LAN DHCP ranges to be assigned, outbound access to be assigned, things of that nature ahead of time, in addition to just being able to spin up in order. So you would have, again, as Derek mentioned, those critical machines spinning up first, so maybe your DHCP server, to bring everything else online and get an address from it. Without that, you'd really be dead in the water, and you'd have to go in there manually to configure it or bring it back online and renew that address. So we do allow for that orchestration to be configured prior to a disaster, so that all spins up with one click and just comes online as you would expect.
Wonderful. All right. Let's see, the next question here is for Derek. Derek, how can I work together with you on a marketing program?
It's easy. You just get in contact with your partner success manager and request a meeting, and then we'll meet and we'll discuss all the things you're thinking about, and we'll come up with a plan and get to work on it.
And for those of you who aren't sure who your partner success manager is, or if you have one, the answer is you do have one. Just send a quick email to team@infrascale.com, and say, please tell me who my partner success manager is, and we'll put you in contact with that person, and then we can go from there.
Great. And then I also see some comments coming through. I see some responses for this poll coming through. So for those of you responding to the poll and liking more information, we'll definitely get you set up with that. Okay, next question comes from Robert, and Robert asks, I need to get some new access to my partner portal. My former marketing staff is no longer here. So Robert, I'll go ahead and get in touch with you after the presentation, and we'll be able to get you some access for that. Next question comes to, let's see, looks like the next question is for Dean. Dean, are we limited to the types of marketing programs that we could execute with Infrascale?
No, we're not. And one of the things that we put in place when we developed the whole marketing program late last year was we wanted to have a pretty low bar, so we didn't want to make it overly officious and have a lot of paperwork that you guys have to go through. Even the MDF request form is like a simple one-page form, and we can do anything really out of the box. So if you don't want to do a webinar but you want to do an email campaign, we can help you there. If you just want some help with some co-branded material, whether it be a fact sheet or maybe it's a white paper that we've done on ransomware, we're happy to help you co-brand that as well. We'll even use our own designer to help you do that. So you just need to let us know what you want to do, and we'll jump in any way we can.
Great. Next question from Aaron. Where does Infrascale stand relative to cloud-to-cloud backup? This is a burning need. Seth, do you want to take that question?
Sure, yeah. Excitingly enough, we're actually in testing with that, so expect that imminently. I don't exactly have a date, to be honest, for this webinar. However, I do feel it's important to mention that it is right around the corner.
Great. And another question coming your way, Seth. This question comes from Steve asking, is the DRaaS product HIPAA compliant? Do you sign BAA agreements for medical facilities?
So yes to both of those. In fact, we do have medical facilities in our cloud already, and we can definitely provide those certification documentation for you, as well as sign those BAA agreements as necessary. So yes to both.
Great. And Seth, another one for you here. If you boot up a server in the cloud, how do you connect it to the local network so that users can access it?
So there's actually quite a few different options. In addition to the just standard testing environment where you would just spin it up and connect via VNC or RDP to view it and make sure everything's running. For an actual production failover, you would have whether that be an MPLS connection if you really wanted to get serious, or VPN connections ahead of time, whether that be a point-to-point network or the road warrior configuration where multiple people would dial in directly to the cloud and continue functioning there. We would pre-configure that prior to any event so that in the event, while obviously we're here for you and definitely available 24/7 to assist you, you don't need us to actually kick that off.
Awesome. Question here for Derek. Derek, the Partner Resource Center sounds great. Where did you say that I could find it?
Well, there's two answers. Right now, if you just go to the main Infrascale site, you'll find this under the Partner tab if you mouse over that, but it doesn't show you all of the sales tools that you have available. What you want to do is you want to access your dashboard, log in, and then go to the Help and then Partner Resource Center, and then you'll see everything.
All right, another question here for Seth. This question comes in from Michael, and he's asking, Seth, what sizes do the appliances range from?
Realistically, the appliances range from anywhere from 2 terabytes to 176, I believe, just with one unit. And obviously, we have the ability to plant multiples to balance the load depending on the environment and the need for DR, et cetera. So we would definitely assess that ahead of time and provide whatever is necessary for your environment. However, that's the overall range of just raw capacity.
All right, and then another question here. Looks like we have next one for Seth and then another one for Derek coming in. Okay, what about fail back? This wasn't addressed in today's presentation.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. So obviously everything needs to come back to the production environment, whether that's a micro disaster with just a single server or a macro disaster with your entire environment. So there's a few different steps, and I'll just quickly run through them. You would actually power off the cloud machines. There is a maintenance window involved, however, it's very, very short. So you would power down that machine, capture all those changes that happened in the cloud while it was spun up, and then push that back to the primary. And if anybody's familiar with the product demo, the technical demos, we use that acceleration technology to bring that back where it's just the pieces of the changes rather than the changes themselves even. And if you want more detail on that, please reach out. But nonetheless, once we bring it back to the production or the primary appliance, we can either bare metal that back to hardware or push that back to a VM infrastructure, whatever the case may be, and then boot it live as if all those changes happened locally.
All right, question coming in for Derek, and this one's from Brian, and Brian asks, do you have a new ConnectWise setup guide?
Hey, Brian, and Brian's actually participated in the MDF, so glad to have you on. We do have an updated ConnectWise setup guide in our knowledge base, and if you have trouble finding that, do let us know. We'll make sure that we can get it to you. If you need any help, if you're in the partner dashboard and you go to help and then partner resources, you'll have three main options. It'll be the resource section with use cases, it'll be the knowledge base, and it'll be a live chat. So you can just live chat if you're also not finding what you need.
All right, and then another follow-up question from Brian for Seth. How do we pre-configure the point-to-point VPN connection?
Sure, yeah. We actually have a gentleman named Tristan that works with the implementation side of the house. So he would actually configure that with you on your end as well as our side to get that link established, so when you do have a failover, we can just light it up.
Wonderful. Another question for Derek here. Can I have Infrascale train my sales and marketing teams so that they know how to better pitch your solutions?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to set that up with you all. Again, just get in contact with myself through your success manager, or just sending an email to team@infrascale.com, and then you can get a hold of me that way. And we'll go through whatever parts of the training we think are more valuable, or all of them over time.
All right, let's see here. More questions are coming through. And we have a question here from Tim. So Tim's asking, did I hear you correctly that you have an image backup solution that doesn't require a local appliance to back up to? It's a cloud-only solution?
I can take that one. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, part of our direct-to-cloud backup solution is exactly that. So we can capture the image of the machine and push that image directly to the cloud. So we do have as Derek mentioned earlier, the Shadow Protect version that does that with Linux and Windows as well. And in addition to that, we're rolling out our own. So again, if you require more detail or information on that, I'd be happy to circle up with that.
Great. All right. And then let's see. We have another question that just came through. Okay, just scrolling through the questions here. Gosh, you guys, we have a lot of questions coming through today. We just have another couple of minutes in today's presentation. So if we don't get to all of the questions, then please do expect to hear from your Partner Success Manager after the presentation to follow up with you on anything that we aren't able to get to today. Also, if you have any follow-up questions regarding who your Partner Success Manager might be, like Dean mentioned, you can reach out to us at team@infrascale.com. Let's see, a question here about our support team. We are a 4-person shop and can't provide 24/7. If I have a DRaaS customer with a weekend disaster, does Infrascale have technical staff to assist in off hours? So that's a great question on our support team. Seth, do you want to take that one?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, in addition to, I mean, obviously we want to keep you in the loop and keep you involved. So, you know, generally speaking, we ask you to be at least involved in the process. However, we do have the staff 24/7 to assist in that situation. So, absolutely.
Great. All right, everyone. So like I mentioned, lots more questions coming through, but we are just up at the close to the end of the hour here. So I want to first off thank you everyone for your time today. Thank you for joining us. And thank you Derek, Dean, and Seth for the presentation and for answering all those great questions. And again, please do look for an email. We are going to follow up with you. We'll be able to share a copy of this presentation. You can grab the slides now if you want a copy of the slides in the handout section. So in the software there, just go to handout and you can download a copy of these slides. We'll also have a replay video as we did record today's presentation, and that will be available in the Partner Resource Center to you. I see lots more questions and comments coming through here. Please have our PSM contact me. I'm interested in selling DRaaS. So Steve, we will do. And then lots of other comments coming through. So please do keep an eye out on your email, and we will be following up with you very soon. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.